Well, after being accused of hoarding vaccines and blocking the export of some crucial raw materials needed to produce vaccine doses, there is a chorus now within the Biden administration that seems to be growing to offer help and much needed support to India right now, given the fact that we are in the middle of the worst pandemic ever. I'm also being joined now by Mr. K.C. Singh, is the former Secretary of the MEA Government of India, and Dr.Sreeram Chaulia is the author, and he's an author and also foreign affairs expert. Thank you both for your time here. You know, Dr. Sreeram Sundar, I want to ask you, even in the Quad, when questions were asked of India, whether they're going to raise this issue in the Quad or not, though this matter was touched upon, is what I've been given to understand. But India did say that this is a bilateral issue and it is something that's going to get sorted. My sense is that we played this down until the time somebody like an Adar Poonawala actually had to tag POTUS and tweet about this, saying that, look, we need the raw materials. You just can't do this to us. We as a country have, just given out so many doses, 67 million doses of the vaccine to our neighboring countries and to other countries who need it. Why is that America has not been able to act on any pressure from India, or have we not exercised enough pressure, in your opinion?
I think, Sneha, we are leaving no stone unturned in getting them to lift that embargo. I think the issue is with the domestic politics and the corporate power in America. You see, the American manufacturers, the big vaccine manufacturers, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, Pfizer, they want, captive raw material stock available for them to ramp up their own production, which they are now exporting worldwide for profit. So they, in a way, are competitors with our Serum Institute and with Bharat Biotech and Biological E.
Yes.
So they have been applying pressure. You see, Biden, for all the talk about liberalism and multilateralism and cooperation with the rest of the world, there are limitations to how far he can go against the big pharma. So that's the first point. The second thing is, there is also a lot of domestic, backlash against being generous to the world. In a way, Biden is continuing the Trump playbook on many parameters. Mm-hmm. So even on climate change, for example, he has convened a summit and announced emission cuts for the U.S. and tried to bring U.S. back into the picture. But then their commitment to climate finance, for example, for developing countries, we remain disappointed by Biden. So the point is, they will disappoint us, especially when it comes to these issues, because corporate America calls the shots. That's the first. And secondly, I think they are also looking to negotiate with us on various issues. And great powers always do this, even with their closest allies. For that matter, the US has not exported a single dose of vaccine to anybody.
Yes.
You were just mentioning, Sneha, how many countries we have done. In the EU has been better. The European Union has been better than the US on this front.
Yes.
So among the big manufacturers, countries with a huge stockpile, the US it's not just Trump. In the last 3 months since Biden has been in power, they're continuing that. That's because there are tremendous pressure domestically. Like Ambassador K.C. Singh is saying, they're also fearful and afraid that the public will say, why are we being so generous to the rest of the world? We have, almost 600,000 deaths, 6 lakh people already dead in the US. And, we should not care for being overly generous to other countries. We should take care of our own needs. But it's not our own needs. You look at the statistics, Sneha. Already they have vaccinated 27% of their population. It's far ahead than India or most countries as a percentage of population.
Yes.
Biden administration is on target to vaccinate all their people. Yet they are saying Americans first. So actually, it's a ruse. One has to look beneath the fine print and see what is going on. It's actually big pharma and corporate profits, and as usual, be it a liberal or a conservative in power, they bow to those interests. So I think this is a bigger issue. And just to add to that, at the WTO, India and South Africa have been asking for many months that remove the IPR, the intellectual property right protections, and waive them, so that we can produce the generics of Pfizer or Moderna or Johnson & Johnson. They have refused. The US has refused. So when it comes to business, America is not liberal. America is cutthroat, and we have to accept that. And we have to live with it, and we have to negotiate better with them.
Yes,
I'm sure
talking
that
about Pfizer.
It's delayed but not blocked forever.
Right now, Dr. Sreeram Sundar, India's strategy is that we can't go for a nationwide lockdown. Let's just get our vaccinations in place. Let's vaccinate as many people as it can. These are vaccines. They have a shelf life. Mr. KC Singh did point out that why can't we then loan these vaccines from America? But India is also looking at other things. For example, oxygen units that it is looking at the EU for. India is turning to its other partners. What will all of this also do to the bilateral relations between India and US in the days and weeks to come?
Well, Sneha, they're saying that the friend in need is a friend indeed. So I think even if this is delayed, eventually they will release the raw materials. But the question is, in a crunch time, when we really needed it, they're disappointed. So I think there will be hard feelings. But the question is, there are other dimensions of the relationships which we cannot ignore also. There is the military and economic cooperation for counterbalancing China in the Indo-Pacific. There are, all kinds of business linkages between the two countries, a huge $150 billion of trade, and all those things are there. I don't think they're going to go away. But definitely this will leave a bad taste because their narrow calculations, corporate and domestic political calculations we thought had been overcome with the return of the liberals. But it turns out that the liberalism itself is hollow and unable to really rise to the occasion insofar as global leadership goes. Mm-hmm. So I think for us, the lesson is, we cannot just rely on the US for any of our strategic dilemmas, be it a public health crisis like the pandemic, or be it even counterbalancing China, or Afghanistan, or any other important consideration for us. We have to diversify, and I think Dr. Jaishankar and Prime Minister Modi are doing that. They have a strategy to look at other countries and to build a broader sets of coalitions or issue-based coalitions with which we can solve our dilemmas. Because frankly, like you said, the EU may come in handy right now because the US is being adamant on raw materials. Likewise, the EU, if it's got an Indo-Pacific tilt, that's good for us. We want to involve more players. I think our approach has always been multilateral and trying to form small groups or plurilateral, as Dr. Jaishankar calls it. And I think we are on the right track. It's just that right now it's really pinching us. So US will remain. So US will remain a pillar of our foreign policy. Okay. But people will ask questions, and I think rightly so. And we have to diversify.
Yes. Thank you, Ambassador KC Singh, for joining us with your perspective. I'm also going to thank Dr. Sreeram Chaulia for your perspective on that important story.